When you think you have learned enough of the Avesta language, do not start with translating the Gathas first. They are the guide. A wrong interpretation would mislead the people. Engage yourself first with other parts of the Avesta. Wait for 5 years before you embark on translating the Gathas. I made him promise. Although the Gathas have become my only thought-provoking guide during the last 50 years, I have never forgotten my promise to the sage. My Gatha translation in Persian was published in 1981. Over 40 years from the day I made the promise, and the 7 times the time proposed by my teacher, this English rendering began as monthly lessons of the Gatha classes held at the California Zarathustra Center, Westminster, since October 1986. It is a revised edition of my Persian translation, Stot Yazan, Yatiye, Asho, Zartoshti, Ismantaman, Va, Sarudyaye, Vevishte, Ve'an, Va, Guzrish, He, Farsiye Ravan, Steota Yeznau. The Gathas of Zarathustra Spitama and the song supplemented them with the text and commentary in fluent Persian, Tehran, Iran, 1981. It, therefore, includes the texts and the translations of all the Avestan pieces in the Gothic dialect. This constitutes what the Sasanian collection put in their foremost Nast, one of the 21 volumes of the canonized scriptures, and called it Stot Yazan Avestan, Shteota Yesnau, reverential praises, and, above all, I am pleased and proud, too, that after the Nast's apparent loss, rather submergence, in the extant Yasna, I am the first to put it back in an independent print, first in Persian, and now in English. The promise always lingering in my mind has made me to think that a good, standard translation of the Gathas can only be presented by a team of experts, both Zarathustrian scholars, who regard them as their holiest of the holies, and non-Zarathustrian academicians of Gothic and relevant studies. I proposed it at the Second World Zoroastrian Congress held in Bombay in 1917. I read a paper at the Third Congress, also held in Bombay in 1977. I have talked about it to many a listening ears and nodding heads, but to this day I have not seen a single step taken by any Zarathustrian organization towards it. Meanwhile, various scholars, each on his or her own, are coming forward with their renderings in English, French, German, Gujarati, Persian, and other tongues. There is no doubt that these renderings differ from one another. It makes the reader a little confused and robs him or her of some of his or her faith in the words meant to inspire one soaring heights of enlightenment. But let me make it clear that this is always the case with individual translations, be it the renderings of a religious scripture or a poetic work. Even the much standardized Bible has its different versions. I have, like many other translators, consoled myself by consulting other translations, also to come to a better conclusion. I have had the translations, commentaries, and notes by B.T. Ankarasaria, Mobed, Firuz, Azargashaz, Persian, C.H. Bartolomei, F.A. Boda, and P. Nanavati, J. Chatterjee, J. Dulshezin, Gilliman, K.S. Guthrie, S. Eansler, K.E. Kanga Gujarati, D.J. Irani, A. F. Kavardar, L. Mills, Ibrahim, Por E. Davu Persian, K.H.E. Pungar Abbas, Shustari Marin Persian, I. J.S. Terla Korawala, and the Pahlavi translation in Sanskrit rendering. To each of these persons, living or not, in works, I express my deep gratitude. My own method has been to track, trace, and find and weigh all Gothic words, terms, and ideas, some controversial, in the extant Avestan and Pahlavi writings. To understand their true meaning and values, I have kept in view the relevant Vedic literature, the rich Persian literature, and the richer Iranian lore. I have made every possible use of my linguistic, prosodic, and anthropological abilities for the task. I have consulted the renderings of the Gathas by the above-minded authors, and above all, the Gathas have been my guiding guru in life for the last half a century. I have refrained from interpretation, if not based upon solid evidence, but made from imaginative deductions. Interpretation can be very misleading. I have, as far as possible, confined myself to brief explanations that too outside the text. Above all, I have kept in mind the traditional Iranian, rather Aryan poetic patterns, especially in Persian with its dobatis, robust ghazals, etc. Hemistish is the smallest unit of the sense in Indo-Iranian poetry, and when coupled with the following hemistish, the sense of a sentence is complete. A stanza is always like a pearl, an independent valuable, but when strung in a cord along with other pearls, it becomes a part of a greater valuable, and if number of cords are joined in the necklace, all of them retaining the independent value, become an integrated part of the precious ornament. The Gothic lines, each a partial sense, make complete sense in a stanza, with a message of its own. Stanzas join to compose a song on a specific subject. Several songs making a Gatha deliver a more complete message. Finally, 17 songs in the 5 Gathas, a complete necklace of coherent text, give us the master message of Zarathustra. Most of the translators, particularly Western scholars, have missed this peculiarity, so vital to understand the Indo-Iranian prosody. Furthermore, every Indo-Iranian poet uses his own or a chosen poetic name in his poems and often addresses himself in the third person singular, a style understood by any person with an Indo-Iranian background. But this very style has prompted many Western scholars of the goddess to think that those stanzas or songs in which Zarathustra's name occurs were composed by another person. I have changed the stanzas from the third person to the first person, and have placed a mark at the end of the stanza to show the original is in third person. Also, the poet sometimes talks in singular in a stanza or poem, and then suddenly changes to plural. The context in such cases reveals whether the poet means singular or plural number. The Gathas have the same style. The context, however, shows that although the request is made by Zarathustra alone, he has his companions included in the divine guidance requested.